Okay, today I am interviewing the one and only GERSHON VEROBA. Um, I going to put in. I usually play a song, but I'm going to put this song in right. Yeah,
Yes, thank you. What was that? Shimcha? Is that the first one?
yeah, Shemacha.
Yeah.
I love that song very much.
It was written by Simcha Kranzer from Passaic, New Jersey. Rabbi
Oh,
Simcha Kranzer. Wonderful guy.
I thought you wrote it.
I write songs as well. There are a couple of songs on that album. I decided to make this album with songs that are great, whether or not I wrote them. For me to write an entire album's worth of great songs, I'm not usually able to do that. So I was lucky enough to find a great composer who gave me quite a few songs on that album, and Simcha Kranzer was fantastic. So and it met with my style.
All your all of your songs on Amiga's well album I
Thank you.
love.
Thank you.
Okay, like right into the questions. Um, where did you grow up and where do you live now?
All right. I can, well, actually, I live now in the five towns. That's the easy one. I live in Cedarhurst. I grew up in Westchester in Larchmont, New York. And that's where I was most of my life. My father was a chazan at a large shul there that's still there, the Westchester Jewish Center. And uh, I spent a long time. That's where I learned how to sing. I was in my dad's choir since I was very little, and that's where I grew up. Yeah,
Okay. Hold on. Did you used to live in Israel?
it's interesting. A lot of people think that I live in Israel or that I have lived, and that I think that's a great thing because it means that I was showing a lot of my experiences in Israel. I spend thank God to this day, a lot of time there. My kids are there right now. My son, who lives here, is now visiting his sister, who lives there with all her kids and her husband. So family is there. I'm always there. I filmed my videos there. So if people say, "Well, don't you live there?" I said every time I go, I live there. But my my permanent my official permanent residence is here. My spiritual and religious permanent residence is there.
Oh wow. Um, that one is amazing. Um, where did where did you go for elementary and for high school?
I went to quite a few schools. I had a very varied childhood. I started off in Westchester Day School, which was nearby, and I ended off graduating Yeshiva Far Rockaway High School.
Wow,
Yeah,
your Shiva Broadway is still around to
yeah,
this day.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to be there when Rav Brafman Zatzal and Rav Per Zatzal were there, and especially Rav Per. He was always very sweet to me and always talked to me about my music, even when I wasn't even in the business.
Wow. Um, did you go? Did you go to base Medrash or did you go to college?
I went to college. The interesting thing was when I was in Yeshiva Far Rockaway. In order for me to be in Far Rockaway, because I didn't live there officially at the time, but that was the place where Rav Kinerik Zatzal from Or HaMeir, which is now the Peekskill Yeshiva, he had he had felt that it would be the best place for me. So I was actually in Kollel, even though I was a senior in high school. I needed to dorm somewhere, so I was in Rav Chait's yeshiva in Far Rockaway.
Oh,
So that was it. That was my Kollel experience. After high school, let me see. I went to Eretz Yisrael, and my group was the founding. We were the founding group of what eventually became Neve Yerushalayim. Neve Zion, really, which was originally Neve Yehoshua because it was in Netanya and Beit Yehoshua, and then eventually it moved later on to Yerushalayim. So that's my base medrash history.
okay. At what age did you start singing, and do you think it helped you in your profession?
My house made me sing. My family. My father was a great chazan who who grew up literally at Yesela Rosenblatt's knee. He learned from Yesela Rosenblatt directly. He was in his choir, and my mother was a singer. She was an opera singer and a performer. So singing was in my house from the time I was born. That's why when, like I mentioned before, that I was in my dad's choir, I was probably standing in that choir, uh, when I was four. They had to put me somewhere. So I was singing from birth, from the time I started crying from as a baby, I guess. And we had to do it on key, or else not at all.
Wow. Um, how did you first get drawn into music, and how did you first get started in music?
Well, as I grew up, there was always music around the house. There was always the radio. My two sisters, who are older than me, uh, they were listening to popular music when uh, I was actually younger than I should have been to be aware of pop music at the time, but I became aware because my sisters were listening to it. And that's when I just grew to love it. I naturally attached myself to music and to entertainment. Um, so when I was very little, my parents and my sisters took me to the theaters and played music around the house. So I was familiar, even at a much younger age, about the Beatles and the movies. I saw Mary Poppins in the theater, for goodness sake.
Hmm.
I saw the Beatles in the theaters, so it was part of my early life. A little confusing because I loved the music and it affected me, and I didn't have the ability to look into why. I just took to music and I started playing instruments from there. I loved the drums and I learned piano and guitar. And that's how I just grew up, just with the mix of secular entertainment and Jewish entertainment, whatever there was back in the 60s.
Wow. Um, what kind of theme or message are you trying to promote, and how did you connect with your audience?
My theme has always been, while most other singers do an amazing job at representing um, a Yiddishkeit point of view of connecting with Hashem and tefillah, which I do as well. But my main message, my main example is connecting with other people. As most people would know, there's the three aspects of our Jewish lives. There's Bein Adam Lamakom, Bein Adam Lechavero, and Bein Adam La'atzmo. Relationship between man and God, between man and his fellow man, and man and himself. And my main message was centered around man and his fellow man, since that is supposed to be the best way to serve the others, to serve Hashem and to serve yourself. So it was always how you treat your fellow human being, which is somewhat of a more universal message, rather than just a Jewish one. The messages all come from Yiddishkeit. They originate there, and I utilize those, but it becomes a more universal message to the world.
Wow, that um speaking of themes, I want to point out there is a war on in Israel right now,
Yep.
and your song "Let Us Just Be"
Yeah.
is perfect for this time right
Yeah.
now in Israel.
Yeah, fortunately and unfortunately, it's been perfect for a few of our periods of time, and that's why I felt it had to be said. And I wanted to speak in plain language rather than just leaning on our connection through Torah, through history, through from Yetzias Mitzrayim to today. That's a religious thing. To me, in the lyrics, you'll find that I even say, "Listen, that stuff is obvious. But as far as people is concerned, just leave us alone. We were here. This is our place. There's not a question. We're not arguing. We're not negotiating or discussing. It's very simply that I don't want to argue it. I don't want to fight it because it's interesting. Rav Nachman Kahana, that's Rav Meir Kahana's brother. For those of you who knew Rav Meir more popularly, Rav Nachman Kahana, who's a good friend and an amazing human being in Eretz Yisrael. He established a shul in the old city at one point, and when Arabs were throwing rocks and attacking and all of that, it was on Shabbos, and he came out in his tallis to the neighbors, and he said, "Listen, if you want a war, we can give you a war. I'd rather not." and and he's by himself, and that's how he set his reputation in the neighborhood, living with other Arabs. It was in the old city, in what's called the Muslim Quarter, and that's the attitude that we have to the rest of the world, whether they hate us or not. Listen, we're living in the same world. Uh, you know, if you want a war, we can do that. We'd rather not. This isn't a discussion. It's very obvious to us. This is our place. It's written as it says in the song. It's written in the book. It's written in the book. Our destiny. It's very simple. It's very plain. It's written plain right there in black and white. So we're not arguing that. Just leave us alone. We're fine. We're going to live in peace. You want to come join us? Well, okay. If you leave us alone, or if you want to be nice, and that's the way Eretz Yisrael in its best form works today. So that was the message of Let Me Be. So it's like, really, don't mess with me. The gun doesn't scare me. Your guns, your weapons. It's one fact. This is our place. Leave us alone. That's it.
That that is a perfect message for right now for Iran, Hamas, and all the people who are trying to kill the Jews. Leave us be. We didn't take your. It's not like we didn't take your parking space. We didn't take your house. We
What
nothing to fight about.
What's even worse is that because we're human beings, we tend to engage in the argument, and that was what that message was. And Let Me Be. Listen, sir, there's no argument here. I'm sorry, there is no argument. I don't engage me in an argument. There isn't an argument. The argument's been disproven for the last couple of thousand years. That's not it. Now that we're here, leave us alone. That's it. Yeah, and we can coexist if you want. We're not out to destroy other people, which you seem to be. You seem to be out to destroy us. And once you're finished with us, you want to destroy others as well. We're not going to discuss that. There's no discussion to have here. And it sounds very obnoxious, but it's that plain. And it's like how a policeman talks to a criminal. The criminal says, "Why are you arresting me? Why? The criminal doesn't really want to know why. He's stalling and he's coming up with reasons to fight with the police and to get away with his crimes. So
Yeah.
a smart policeman doesn't argue with it. He said, "Listen, we're not playing that game. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. We'll go to the judge and we'll see what we can do, and that's it. Stop arguing with me because you really don't want this argument. You don't really. You're not invested in this argument anyway. You're just trying to stall for time and come up with excuses." That's the exact same message.
And what does why fight at all? Hamas just wanted to have fun and blow off steam, and Iran want to do the same. It nothing different.
Well, they don't want to. If you don't mind my correcting it, because we all say that, they want to fight. They want to fight. They don't want to fight. They want to find a way, a great way to destroy. They come in. They came in murdering. They didn't come in with fists. They didn't come in to threaten us. They came in to murder us and destroy us. What everybody else is out there doing is fighting. Even now, as the people of Iran are thanking the U.S. and Israel for helping them, there are people who are stepping in, saying, "No, no, 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 no. We know better. Don't listen to the actual people of Iran that this war is serving. Listen to us, the people who think that we know better, and we're going to tell." And they're going to fight. They want to fight and they want to argue. They'll be arguing for the rest of their lives. We don't want to fight. We don't want to argue. They want to murder. We want to live in peace. There really was never any fighting in this discussion. People who want to fight are just wasting time. They have no plan.
They have no plan, no overhead, no.
That's right.
The thing they should have done, of sat down, came up with a plan. They don't have any plan. Let Iran say, "I wave the white flag and give up."
Well, you have to understand it's a criminal mentality. I know I've referred already to police because this is I seem to because police represent right and wrong, and
Yeah,
if you watch videos of chase scenes where a policeman pulls somebody over, and then
yeah,
the guy just takes off and he runs from him, does he have a plan?
no,
Very few people ever survive, ever get away from the police. What is your plan here? You really think that not only are you think you're going to get away, but even if you do get away, now what? What kind of life do you have? You have no plan. You're not thinking. All you're trying to do right now is get away to oppose right. You're doing wrong. That's you have no plan. And that's what these people are doing. And people who are protesting in the street, the pro-Palestinian, the anti-Jewish, they they don't see that. All that they think that these people have a purpose. You say, "Well, what is that purpose?" They can't answer you. They have no purpose because they're disguising it as an argument, but it's not an argument. They just want to destroy. They're just stalling for time before they can figure out how to destroy us, and they can't.
yeah. They can't.
That's
We too many people, too many Jews, and we have better weapons. We have God on our side.
it must be very frustrating.
Yeah,
What are we supposed to do? Well, meanwhile, until we're able to defeat whatever God they think they have, meanwhile, while they have all the weapons, sure, they could have destroyed us in 5 minutes and
yeah,
turned our home into a sheet of glass. Uh,
yeah,
Even though they didn't do that, we have to figure out how we can say that they're violent. And while we're stalling and fooling all the gullible people of the globe,
yeah,
let's figure out what we can do. Well, they have no plan. They're never going to figure it out. They're not looking into the future. They're not thinking. Unfortunately, Jewish people, our being is a matter of looking into the future. Yetzias Mitzrayim was a complete move towards the future. Eretz Yisrael was a complete move towards the future. Hashem gave us Eretz Yisrael as a move towards everything was towards the future, future generations, the future of the Jewish people, future. That's the way we think. So this kind of thinking is strange to us.
yeah. Um, I want to ask you about the music video. Let us just be.
Hmm.
Did you really smash a TV?
Yes, yes. On the "Let Me Be" video, that was most of it was taken in Ma'ale Adumim, which is right outside of Yerushalayim, for those who don't know. And it was at my cousin's house.
Oh,
And what's interesting here in the United States, it's a lot easier to go traveling around the neighborhood to look for somebody who threw out a TV on the curb because that's the way they collect garbage. I
yeah,
took that for granted. In Israel, you can't. There's no way to do that. I can't tell you why, how their garbage or trash system works, but I needed a TV to destroy. And I turned to my cousins, and they grew up with a similar life as I did. I said, "Do you have an extra TV that you haven't thrown out?" They said, "As a matter of fact, that big TV that you used to watch in the den when you came over is up in the attic. That big thick thing. We've had it up there because we don't want to schlep it down and throw it out. If you can get it down." You can have it. And I said, that's perfect because I can't find a TV to destroy in this video. They said, well, you'll have to do that in the street. Don't do it in here. It's all glass and stuff. We don't know what happened between that conversation and the actual movie, but somehow I convinced my cousin to let us film it in the living room. And we plugged in the TV. It was genuinely plugged in. It really was plugged in.
Oh,
And
really?
yes, because we knew it would add to the effect when I smashed the TV. If you watch the scene very closely, you'll see that I lift my shoulders when I hit the TV. It's because the explosion was larger than I thought. When you smash a TV tube, and an old-fashioned TV tube, it makes a big noise. So we did that, and even afterwards, a I have a behind the scenes clip somewhere. Uh, Afterwards, the the electricity was still flowing into the TV. It didn't blow a fuse when I smashed it. It was just smoking. And the sound guy says that's amazing. Let me unplug this because it looks like the even after you smashed it, the electricity didn't go off. So let me unplug this thing. And so there was all sorts of smoke and there was all sorts of glass. And I spent Shabbos there, and I was lucky enough to find the last piece of glass in between the couch cushions.
It
So yes, it was a real TV.
was President Obama speaking, or it was all fake?
That was footage. That was footage that we found where he's talking about occupation and settlements and all the language that was hurting everything. And
Oh,
that's why and I so we had that going, and that's how it made it possible for me to go, wait, what? The my home country is betraying me. Wait, that's ridiculous. Why don't you just tell them to leave us alone? And then I say, oh, wait a minute, that's the song.
yeah, that is perfect.
Yeah.
Let end off with that note. Um, what is your pivotal moment in your music career that changed everything for you?
Ah, and well, there's the career. I guess there's music itself. Um, it's hard to say. There were so many aspects. My being in the wedding business for a long time was something. My being my actually my co-founding the group Judea was a kind of a pivotal moment also because that introduced modern rock and pop to a more frum audience, and that was back in 1981, I believe. So that is a long time ago. It was kind of pivotal at the time. Variations, even though it was a little simplistic, I didn't want people to consider that uh, my single body of work, but it seemed to have caught on, whether I like it or not. It seemed to have caught on quite well. So between that and my Impressions albums, which were a more serious version of those things, because it had actual serious messages, and it wasn't necessarily top 100 music. It was just great music that lent itself to
Yeah,
these kind of messages.
yeah. Um, how many singles or albums do you have out now?
I would have to look. Let me see. I know that it's on the GERSHONVEROBA.com website, on the music page. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see I have 10 albums there. I think it works out to about maybe there are a couple there that aren't available anymore. Maybe the Variations one, um, maybe Then and Now. So I guess a dozen of my own. It comes out to about 100 if you think about what the ones I was a guest on, because there were many of those.
Yeah. Um, you are before we get to this question, I want to ask you. You are retired from music, right? Or you're still playing?
As far as performance, single performance is concerned, I guess I'm semi-retired. If I was called to the stage, or if I was booked on a concert, and I would certainly enter rehearsals and do the concert right away. But right now, I do teaching, and most of all, I have, as you could probably see behind me, the logo for G
Yeah,
major. I have my band.
yeah,
It's a band and an event planning company, and we've been doing weddings. And thank God at the gmajorevents.com has our band on it. It has a lot of footage. So that's one of the things that I love doing. It's still, I push live music, which is not always popular nowadays because people like spending a lot of money on one man bands and $4 million celebrity singers. And then they want to know why there's no money left for the bedroom set.
yeah. Um, Now, what went through your mind before you had to perform or sing?
Um, I just, my first response to that is that I just think of, I'm already out there when I'm backstage. People often say, "Wow, you don't look nervous." It's not that I don't look nervous. I was already out on stage before I physically walked out. I've got the song in my head. I've got the mood in my head. I love the audience. I love dealing with it. It's That's really what goes through my head. I think of, I try not to think too much because you can
Mm,
forget words that way.
yeah.
I'll give you a for instance. Years ago, you may have seen it. Was I appeared on in one of the first Miami experiences to do the song "Hand of Hashem," and it was one of my best performances. But the reason it was so electric was that I was very sick that day. I
Mm,
I actually had laryngitis up to that moment. It was a Pesach, and I had laryngitis. And my father, Olav Shalom, was with me, and he made sure nobody spoke to me, so I didn't have to say anything, and I would save
mm,
my voice. And before I walked out onto the Brooklyn College stage, I said, I just have to make it happen. I have no choice.
mm,
So I walked out there, and that's what I did. If you listen carefully, you'll hear that I've got a little hoarseness in my voice. Some of it we actually had to fix in the studio, but it was me working really hard to get around my laryngitis and my illness that day. And that winds up to be a very exciting look when somebody's trying to get around that.
mm,
If there are any movie buffs out there, Gene Kelly, the great dancer, had 102 fever when he did Singing in the Rain, which was his classic. And it was one of the greatest performances in the history of entertainment. And one of the reasons is that he put in everything he could to get around his being sick that day.
wow.
Yeah.
102 fever, and he still sang.
When you watch him doing Singing in the Rain, remember he was rehearsing and dancing in water all day that day in freezing cold water in California and getting it absolutely perfect, which is what he was all about. So, and that's what was going on. When I went out on stage, I said, there's no choice here. I just have to make sound come out of my voice. So I had to manipulate myself inside to get around the hoarse parts. And that takes a lot of awareness. So you're up and you're bright and you're trying to get the audience to drive you, just grabbing every piece of positive that you can. So the performance winds up being great.
Yeah. May I ask, would you want to come out of retirement?
I really don't consider myself retired. I like I say, I'm always open to a lot of things. I'm actually discussing things. I have friends who you know in this business where I'm actively discussing things, whether it's something I'm going to perform in or it's something that I'm going to produce or both. I've been commissioned to compose things, so I don't really think of it as a retirement. I'm certainly not as active as I used to be, but if given the opportunity, look, with the band, I love doing that. You can give me that every night of the week and I will be there whether I have myself singing or if I have a great singer with me, which very often I do, to just get the most energy into it and singing together, which is the unusual thing about our band because we have more than one singer. Because no matter how good the singer is, after 4 hours, you're going to get sick of them. So I just love making genuine, real music with the band. So my big thing right now is G major, G major, because that's to me, I'm doing everything that I've done before. I'm performing, I'm playing guitar, or I'm playing keyboard, or I'm singing. I'm doing we make great. Our sound is fantastic. People love the sound. It doesn't hurt their ears. They don't have to spend the entire wedding in the lobby because it's too loud because we're a real band. The music is spread out with real instruments instead of one instrument and a volume control.
Yeah. Um, when you, um, when when you were performing and when you were not performing, what did you do?
I was teaching. Right now, I teach English, but I had taught music, but it was always unusual. I didn't teach actual music theory or teaching people how to play a particular instrument. It was just sharing music, sharing attitudes of music, relationships within music, relationships between notes and chords and influences at different artists and sharing that. So I wound up teaching that way. Um, I had jobs. I had 9 to 5 jobs here and there. I was a media director at one point. I was an accountant at one point.
Yeah,
There are many things that I've done. I'm a writer.
yeah,
There are many things you have to do sometimes as you go through life. But those were the main. Music was always what I returned to and what I feel at home in. I could live in a studio, whether on either side of the glass. I could sit at the board and produce other people creating great music and singing wonderfully and directing them and helping to make a product that perhaps I wouldn't be able to make on my own. If I have a wonderful singer that's why on the Ani Israel album, I have other
yeah,
singers that I work with, and I really enjoyed working with them and producing them and directing them because they
yeah,
have different voices, and it's variety. When I was performing with God Elbaz, for instance, we were in Galkol Studios, which is a classic studio in Tel Aviv. I loved directing him and working with him with his unique voice and his unique abilities going into another room and practicing with him on the piano and creating and creating. And because he's got a great musical mind and a great performing talent, at things that I was able to make happen were things that I wouldn't have been able to do by myself. I was able to take God Elbaz and sound like God, and he sounds like himself. It's unique. So
Yeah.
I like working with other people. That's what I enjoy.
Speaking about Godovas, do you have his information?
I've been I've been asked that before. I don't give it out. The I know that his agent is Zvika Bornstein, so you can talk to him. I just never. I've been asked about many people's phone numbers, and the reason they trust me with their phone numbers is because I don't give it out.
I I try. We will. Do you have time after this interview to talk?
Um, a little bit. I do have to get ready for teaching today, but what I can do is you have the chat over there in your Zoom.
Yeah.
All right. So what I can do is I can give you I can give you Zvika Bornstein's phone number. You could take it from there.
Hold on. Text me. I don't want it to pop.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I can do that from here as well. Um,
Um, because
you're good?
yeah, I was crossing out um something. What what's your favorite part of the creation process?
Collaborating with others. It is like I was telling you, I love working with other people because I don't I want to I like to go outside my own abilities. There's nothing like being able to stretch and do more than what you've done before. So the best way to do that is work with people who are not necessarily like you and they think differently. And then you get a unique voice, a unique style to your work. So collaborating with others is one of my favorite things, and it creates unique products that way.
Uh, um, what is your favorite song of your music?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, I have a couple of favorites, and meaning the ones that I've composed.
Yeah.
Um, I just sent you that phone number, by the way. Um,
Okay.
the my Mivon Siach was composed really from the heart. Um, I sang it at my daughter's wedding. It's meant to be very meaningful in its own way. That's my aim whenever I compose. It's gotta the music and the purpose have to match. Everything has to match. And the mood. I don't just put one thing together with another and hope that it physically fits or that it mathematically fits. It's got to artistically fit and it's got to feel right emotionally. So Mivon Siach is the picture of I thought of myself as a parent marrying off a child and the sentimental sound of it and how beautiful it is. The influences behind it incorporate a lot of the people that I admired in music, James Taylor, Carole King, the Eagles, the Beatles. I mean, it's a lot of that is in there, and Larry Gates, Allah Shalom, who helped me produce that. He co-produced that with me. That and Let Me Be. Uh, he his contributions to that are very clear, at least for me. I listen to it and I think of him a lot. Same thing with Let Me Be. The other favorite I may have is my Haneros Halalu that I wrote so long ago. It's one of the first songs that I had written and recorded. That's one of my favorites because it's also dedicated to its meaning. It's got to work, and it's a seasonal sound. It's a beautiful sound. It's a holy sound. I just and it makes sense to the words.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, who did who did you get inspired by, both Jewish and non-Jewish singers, to start singing?
Well, to start singing, I got that from my family, from my parents, from my dad. My father and I had very different tastes in music. We disagreed quite a bit as far as music. He didn't like rock and roll or anything like that. He didn't like a lot of pop, but his standard and his method of music and his love for orchestral thought and harmony. That I got that from him, for absolutely from him, and for dedication to the relating the meaning of the words that you're singing to the actual music that you're putting to it. It's an absolute necessity for the music and the words to match. So I got that from my dad. Uh, uh, a lot of influences came from. I loved Mudgets. Mudgets is true, original, classic Hasidic music to me. Shlomo, who I was friendly with, Shlomo Karlbach, I liked
Oh,
his simplicity. I was awed I was fascinated with how he could remain so simple yet so dedicated. He felt that he used to tell me that his songs were given to him by the Rabboni Shalom, and that's why he didn't like when people changed it, even one note, because there was a reason for everything. So that's the Jewish side of it. On the secular side, I was influenced by many, by, like I said, James Taylor, the Beatles. The
yeah,
Beatles were a major factor in my life, creativity, production, as well as the music itself. Um, there was so many. I followed so many artists, and I got different inspirations with singing. Andy Williams, Glenn Campbell, Frank Sinatra. There are different parts of these performers that inspired my methods of singing. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. Everybody had their own method.
yeah. Um, why did you decide to become a singer?
I was always a singer. That's really what it was. I think the question wound up being, why did I wind up being a Jewish singer? And in many ways, I still wonder why I did that. As a, I think possibly it could have been something as simple as I really didn't. In the beginning, I didn't think I'd ever be able to become a secular personality in the secular business because of Shabbos and all of that. And later on, I think it was simply a matter of I had no idea where to go or how to get it done. And I felt I was much better with an audience that was not as familiar with pop as the secular audience. The secular audience would have seen any flaws that I might have had. There are many artists that are much better than me, but in the Jewish music business, I felt unique.
lot a lot of Jewish singers I know that keep Shabbos.
Well, yes, there are, but that's something that you find in more modern day. Back in my teenage years and my childhood, it was always understood you can't be a star and Shomer Shabbos at the same time. It wasn't necessarily true. It was just something that was popularly thought of. They didn't want you, my parents didn't want, and my teachers and whoever inspired didn't want me to become, um, influenced by the non-Jewish world. But over the years, we've become secularized a lot more, and we've been able to balance a little more. We still haven't adapted fully or taken some of the good things from the non-Jewish standards, but that's the way it goes.
Okay. Um, what's the most rewarding part about when you were singing?
How I would get actually sometimes surprised pleasantly by what my music, whether it's my singing or anything that I've done, has influenced somebody else, or how somebody will come up to me and remind me that they met me years before and I treated them well, even though they thought I was some kind of celebrity. So being in that position to make somebody feel good and make them feel like they mattered even more than they thought. Being able to do that is very rewarding.
Well, um, who, this is a question I want to know about. Who did you record with and who did you perform with on stage?
Oh, just about everybody. Um, uh, Freed, I could just run down a whole thing. Pretty much and it's probably easier for me to say, wow, that I wish I could have sung with this person because I didn't. It's easier to come up with that list. But
Yeah.
I think that there was Freed and Mordechai Ben David, and these were all people that I became friendly with. Yossi Green, A.B. Rottenberg, Morty Shapiro actually was singing in a backup choir, or I shouldn't say backup. It was a choir that I was singing with in a big concert from Marashai years ago. We've
Oh,
performed on stage together. Um, the Katz brothers, Eitan, Shlomo, at their different points. Their father of Shalom, I know very well.
oh,
I'm just thinking of random names. I'm all over the place. As you know, Gad Elbaz, he
yeah.
actually made me the first from American, first from American Jew to sing on the Caesarea stage in thousands of years, because he was the first Jewish artist to appear on. People didn't know that. It was before the Shweki concert. So before that, Caesarea was not something known for Jewish music, for religious artists. So I wound up in that concert. I could go on. Miami, Shlomo Karlbach, a lot of concerts with Shlomo, Yoel Sharabi. Uh, I could go on with a lot of these. Jackie Mason.
Um,
Jackie Mason. I was on with Jackie. I opened for him.
yeah.
I opened for a lot of people.
You have all these phone numbers?
No,
Oh,
So I have some of them, but I don't give out any of those phone numbers. You got to find the management, and I'm also not always in touch with these people. If I have to get in touch with these people, I have to start a whole thing, and I call mutual friends, and it could be a job. Not everybody is we're not all in touch every single day.
oh,
Unfortunately, it's nice to see each other every once in a while.
yeah. Um, Speaking about A.B. Rothenberg, I interviewed him.
Yes, I actually saw that one.
Yeah, I did. The phone numbers you have, did I interview the people already, or I need to still get to them?
I have no idea. I have a big phone book. I don't know. But my phone book is I keep that private. So my the access to my phone book is right. I don't even talk about it.
Oh, okay. At what age did you start performing live?
Oh, I was performing live before, long before I recorded. As a matter of fact, I remember the first time I recorded was when I was 11. We recorded my voice here and there when I was a kid, but I was always singing live. It was always live in the choir mainly, and then later on, I did solos as I got older here and there. But I lived out in Westchester, so I wasn't part of those children recordings. I always wanted to be, but I wasn't in the area.
Yeah. Um, how did you come up with your songs?
Everything has a different source. You were talking about "Let Me Be." I knew that the subject was very strong, and I had to come up with something. And I had the concept in my head, and I believe I thought of the music itself. It kind of came in a small way. It may have come to me in a similar manner that you see in the video, how I saw the purpose and it just drove me to certain chords and music, and then I thought of the message to put. So it was yeah, that's really what it was. And I eventually I wrote it as a limerick. If you know what a limerick is, you know,
No.
um, a limerick is there once was a man from Guam who thought that the water was so calm.
Oh, like
He sprang for a lark and encountered a shark. We will now sing the 20th Psalm. And
like
that kind of rhyme is what "Let Me Be" was.
oh, was a singer. Um, what countries have you performed in?
Not many. I think I performed in South Africa and Israel, Mexico, uh, Canada, if you want to consider that another country. Um, that's really it. I was in other countries, but I don't remember performing there. Maybe I'll think of another one when I get off the phone, but no, but that's about it.
Okay. What is what was your favorite type of gig?
I love I love doing a concert performance with a full orchestra,
Oh,
hopefully with a piano in front of me.
Okay. Um, Last question. I think I rewrote the questions. I want to make sure I'm not skipping any or forgetting any. Um, I want to. Um, um, I have 23, 28, 12, 12. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay, last question.
Sure.
What what words of inspiration do you have for the world?
Ah, I don't know what the world turns to me, how the world turns to me for any inspiration. So I'm not sure what to influence them with, but it's really the hafta l'reacha kamocha, just, treat others
Yeah,
well. It comes down to the ultimate message that I mentioned that I go for. It's treating other people well because that's the way you that's the way you serve Hashem as well. You want to serve Hashem, you want to serve yourself. The best way to do that is to serve other people. And that's really the best thing I could say. As far as music is concerned, people have to get back to live music because it's gotten very fake.
yeah,
A lot of great musicians, because of the fact that production is very expensive, great musicians have been great at making some very nice music, but unfortunately, they have to do it on the cheap with synthesis, and the sound of synthesis has become normal. And I personally, I don't find it as real as actual uh, live music, real instruments. People should not be afraid of that. And they should also not be afraid. I know I'm talking about the wedding business because that's what I do, but
yeah,
people should not assume that they have to have an all electronic wedding and an expensive singer. And those expensive singers are all friends of mine. I don't believe that they mind my saying this because they're going to get hired one way or the other. But if you're going to be hiring, the problem is Jews have decided that they know everybody. So they have no problem hiring celebrities. Goyim don't always do that. Not Jews don't do that. They think that celebrities are a different realm. Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't mean they're not immediately going to assume that they can have them for their kid's wedding. And Jews are doing that, and they're spending much too much money on a singer, and then they have very little money left, so they get very little instrumentation. So the music doesn't sound great. They have a famous singer, and they can talk about it, but the music at the wedding is suffering because it's limited. You should rely on professionals. Anybody that has a great band, and there are quite a few great bands out there, should talk to them and ask what they think. You tell them the music you like, and if you can afford a famous singer and you like his voice, great. But you shouldn't be doing that at the sacrifice of the rest of your music. Don't sacrifice music in your life. That's what's happening. People are sacrificing music, and that shouldn't be. It's a real shame.
yeah. You know what people are doing now? Using um AI, using fake music videos now. They
Well,
can,
if it gets the idea across, it's cute. It's just visual. It doesn't have to be real in order for it to be good when it comes to visual. If it helps you visual, because the main thing is the music, and if it helps you envision the music, listen, a dream is not real, but it's one of the best ways to envision music. If you have a great song in your head and you dream about something and that becomes the soundtrack to your beautiful dream, that's fantastic. That's okay. The video doesn't have to be real. It's just a visual to help you hear the song. What is the
I,
song now?
I like the olden I like the olden days when there wasn't AI, all these stuff to I like when singers sang in the music video and they didn't have to use all these um extra
Well, people now they need more stimulant. Need more stimulation. Listening is not it's like the difference between radio and TV. When people started watching TV, they were doing less radio because they became a little more lazy. They need they can't envision in their head. That's not enough to them. They have to see it. And now we have to produce something for them to see. So now the whole medium becomes more expensive and harder to create. That's what's happened with music now. If you don't have a video with it, the song may never become popular. It's a,
yeah,
it's a shame.
it's a big shame. I like I when I listen to music and I didn't have to be tend to find the video.
Right. That's right. It's just the way it is. I don't know what to tell you when it comes to that. People, this is what people are doing. They need the visual. And you have to ask them, well, why do you need the visual? Can't you listen to the song like you listen to in the car? You can't have a visual when you're in a car, you get in an accident. So
Yeah,
so pretend you're in life, maybe close your eyes and just envision it. What you can envision in your mind is going to be a lot better than the limitation of what a human being produced on a screen.
yeah, just close your eyes, pretend you are in your own, you're making the music video in your mind.
Right.
Let let singers forget about music videos and all these nonsense.
Right.
Just come out with the song and say, everyone close your eyes and make your own.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people can't do that. They need visual. We've got a generation that doesn't understand any other way.
I don't know why they,
Right.
I don't know why.
Exactly.
Okay, I would love to thank you for coming on. I would like to thank you for your time, your patience, and it was an amazing interview. Let
Well, I thank you for your interest. That's most important. That's why I said yes, because you actually expressed interest. So thank you. Oh, you should tell your audience here. Here, let me see if you can see this. Can you see that? Is it backwards? I don't know if you can
uh,
see it. Hold on.
no,
Hold on. Let me see. Hold on.
yeah,
Hold. Let me see if I can do this because it's got that. It has the G major thing. Hold on.
yeah.
No, it doesn't work. So tell
No.
everybody that they can do G major events dot here. That's it. You have me
Yeah,
on it. gmajorevents.com
yeah,
and Gershon Veroba. Look at that. I got it.
yeah, you got
Those
it.
are the two websites. For weddings and stuff, you go gmajorevents.com. But if you want to know more about my stuff and my work, you can find all the albums there, including the covers, all the artwork and the lyrics. It's all there on gershonveroba.com.
Okay, thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Yehuda. Thank you so much for your interest. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a great, hold on.